Good evening, everyone, and welcome to WordTalk tonight with myself and Chris. It's great. First time I've done it with Chris. Usually do this with the other Is It, but it's great having Chris being together tonight. We thought we'd give Bruce a bit of a break tonight. You know, poor Bruce, he works so hard, so he needs an evening off. Bruce, if you're watching, put your feet up by the fire, grab a hot chocolate and just enjoy the show. If you're not watching, that's fine. We're not offended. We always watch you when we're not here, but
faithfully.
It's great to see you tonight and see some people coming in. It's great to have you with us. What we thought we'd focus on tonight, we thought we'd just get ready for Christmas, because Christmas is coming. And there's lots of things we can do to get ready, aren't there, Chris?
Sure has been.
Yeah. But we thought we'd look at what we can do to get ready, ask you what you do to get ready. Now, obviously, we're not talking about so much the practicalities of, like the shopping list and presents and menus and decorations, although, that's all a big part of it. Bruce has said that he's here. That's good. Yeah, great. That's good, Bruce. But we're actually talking about, the question really want to pose tonight and talk about and get your feedback on and really let's get the chat really hot tonight is, do you do anything different leading up to Christmas in terms of your own devotional life, your own relationship with the Lord to prepare? And so that is kind of what Advent, which we're going to talk a little bit about Advent and what it is, what Advent's about, really. So it's all about preparing for Christmas. What do we do different? We're going to be posing some questions, but I'm going to begin by asking Chris. Chris, whether in the Is It house with you and Marie and the kids, or even what you remember from obviously growing up in Zim, do you remember doing anything different in terms of lead up to Christmas?
Well, I think we didn't have sort of obviously Advent and that kind of thing back home. And I'm trying to think, obviously it was for one gorgeous weather back home. Yeah. We didn't have problems like cold buildings and stuff like that. But I think there was very definitely, obviously, growing up with mom and dad leading the church and stuff, it was kind of, Christmas is obviously always geared around what can we do in the community. So, very much growing up, we were always involved and meshed in with, carol services or nativity play, whatever it was at the sort of different stages of our lives. And, so Christmas time was always, and we had longer holidays. So we had, if I remember correctly, it's pretty much the whole of December we had as holidays. So it was always geared around, all the kids getting together and we'd kind of practice for nativity plays or, as we got older, then it was music for carol services. So it was kind of always geared around kind of almost outreach in a way, really. Then obviously there was the kind of the fun of, in our case, where we grew up kind of far out in the sticks. And so all the family used to come, because we lived near my grandparents, all the family would come from kind of around the country and from South Africa and stuff. And so it was always a big family kind of time as well. Yeah. But there was very definitely always this edge of, what can we do in the community, because it always felt like a great time for outreach, didn't it? For gospel time kind of thing. So that was kind of, I just always remember that growing up. Here, obviously, it's different now having kids as well. That's brought a different mix in, and a really fun, growing up it was always about the gifts you got in a way, whereas now suddenly it's actually that excitement about being able to get gifts for your kids, and obviously, for my wife and that kind of thing. But one of the things we try and do here is we're trying to help the kids to think not just about what they're getting, but what they can give. And so over the years, we've kind of, obviously because of my dad's, massive vested interests in the leprosy mission, they do a thing where you can sponsor eye surgery or different surgeries and stuff. And so we always get the kids together and we're like, okay, what can we do for someone else? Trying to get them into that sort of gear of, okay, it's not about what you get. It's actually, Christmas is a time to give. Obviously because of the gift that we were given in Jesus coming. So that's kind of one of the things we always try and do, is to try and swing this focus on, I want this, I want that, to actually, hey, what can we actually do to bless others?
So Chris, do you in you and Marie or with the children, do you do anything different in terms of, obviously, that's great, turning it around to giving rather than receiving, which is really important. But do you do anything in terms of your own, your own devotional, maybe you personally, your own devotional, does it, different kind of focus, or do you just kind of carry on and,
Yeah, I don't know, Ben. I think for the most part, we don't have anything necessarily that we change. I guess probably more, again, because it's more the Christmas story, there's probably tends to be a bit more time, spent talking about Jesus coming, and that, to be honest, that often ends up being about why he came as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
yeah,
obviously
of course.
he's going to the cross, and so it's just it's a great time with the kids to be able to talk about those things. So I wouldn't say we typically change things, but we probably do tend to focus a bit more on that whole story of Jesus coming and why he came.
Okay, well, let's just talk a little bit about Advent. Now, I mean, just to be clear here, the Advent is not a term that's used in the Bible, and it's not something that we advocate as a particularly important religious season. All we would see this as is just an opportunity for us just to stop and to pause and to reflect and to get ourselves ready, which is a really, for Christmas, for the coming of the King, and just to be, just to look a little bit at what this word Advent means, because I mean, some of you will be very familiar. Some of you may have only heard the word Advent really in the context of the good old Advent calendar, but we just looked into this a little bit, Chris and I, and so this word Advent comes from a Latin word, Adventus, good old Latin. Got my Latin O level all those years ago, and it'll be good for something.
Good job,
and it just means coming or arrival, which I kind of think we know. But but interestingly, it's actually a Latin translation of the Greek word parousia, which some of you will know the word parousia or parousia, which is reference to the second coming. Wow. So already there's a clue there that. Originally, Advent, or this season leading up to Christmas that we call Advent, was not actually just about the coming of the King at Christmas. It was also very much about preparation and looking to the coming of the King the second time. So therefore, that's a clue for us. This preparation we're talking about is not just about, December the 25th, where we celebrate, it's not necessarily the right date, but it's a time when we celebrate the coming of Jesus. Yeah. It's also about preparing and being ready and focusing on that for the second coming of Jesus Christ, where everything will come to fulfillment. So I think that's really important for us. This is not just about this next, this Christmas time. It's actually about what's coming as well. Yeah. So that's that's kind of what Advent is, and obviously Advent it's important in certain traditions, certain denominations, I guess, and there's all sorts of things, with candles and wreaths and different coloured ribbon. And I'm not into any of that kind of stuff, but I'm into candles. I'll come on to in a minute. But it's just one candle. It's all right, because I think there's different number. I think there's five candles, aren't there? Yeah. But you had some interesting stuff on the whole candle thing, didn't you, Chris? The Advent candle thing. You just talk about that a minute.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously having not grown up with it, I kind of just looked into it just since we talked about it on Friday, and there are obviously the 5 candles, so I'll run them all for you. There's the candle of hope, which is the hope we have in Jesus Christ. There's the candle of peace, the peace we find in Jesus. The candle of love, the love we have in Jesus. The candle of joy, the joy we find in Jesus. And then the 5th candle represented the birth of Christ, the light of the world. But what's really interesting, obviously, what caught me was just looking into the candle of hope. And it was just fascinating because you talked about the whole thing of waiting. Obviously, this coming of Christ, and obviously in the Old Testament, the whole Old Testament was about this waiting for the Messiah, waiting for the Messiah to come, and the word hope in it's just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I don't know if you want me to go to some of it.
Chris, I know you're fascinated, and I'm fascinated too. I want to know. Sorry, this is great. Now go on, Chris. Go for it.
It got me just really excited, kind of looking into it and just seeing just the wonder of it. And so basically, it comes from a Greek word kavar, which actually that word hope, kavar, it means waiting, and. It first was kind of mentioned in Genesis 1, where when God said, let the waters gather together, and that word there was kavar, was waiting. Let the waters wait together, almost as like this hopeful gathering, as God then proceeded to then create the earth. And so it's really fascinating that it talks about it right at the beginning of this waiting and it kind of had me excited about this whole thing of how creation's waiting, like this expectation of what God's going to do. And it kind of goes through, and obviously, I know for me, it's always been, I've always been the kind of the cup's half full kind. I've always been a very optimistic person. But this is not, it's not optimism. No, this kind of hope. It's not a case of, I hope it's going to rain today, or I hope it's going to snow at Christmas time, or I hope my job's going to pan out, or, I hope I'm going to stay healthy. It's not that kind of thing at all, because it's not a hope that's based in circumstance. It's hope that's based in a person, and that's Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
and that just, just as I started to look into that, it's just so exciting, because it's like, yes, this is the hope that we have, that Jesus is coming, that His purpose, God's purpose is coming to pass.
That's great. That's brilliant, Chris. So, I mean, I think just what I feel about this, and we'll begin to look at some scriptures in a minute, but I think that what can happen is that we've just had Black Friday, right? Haven't we? I mean, I don't really know where Black Friday came from, but anyway, there you go. I mean, if you're probably young and trendier than me, which is pretty trendy, obviously, you'll probably know where it came from. But it seems that Black Friday has become like Black Week Day, it seems, and it's stretching on. And I just kind of feel like you're just kind of being bombarded with this pressure to consume and to buy online, especially. I mean, it's all online, even more so this year. But and then you're into kind of Christmas present mode. And, even in kind of lockdown or coming out of lockdown or whatever tier lockdown we're in, there is still this pressure and it kind of seems to speed up, just accelerates, oh no, the shopping list kind of gets more frantic and, and the queues get longer for the supermarkets. I mean, we popped into the supermarket, this afternoon and there was a queue already. And Angela said, are they Christmas shopping already? I said, surely not, like getting food in already. Maybe they are, I don't know.
Paper.
But it just seems relentless, this kind of, this acceleration, this speeding up, this drivenness. And I really feel this is the season to be different and to say, no, this is the season. Advent's about slowing down. It's not about being pulled along relentlessly by the frenetic nature of this season. It's about slowing down and reflecting in whatever way. And I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts out there on how that works for you, what that means for you. How do we resist this so that we can actually not miss the richness and the beauty and the wonder this season brings? Anticipating, like you're saying, Chris, hoping in an anticipatory way for the coming of the light of the world, not just now, but for, to come, not just not just preparing our hearts to receive Him again, and just that whole focusing on Him. So I just think this is really what for me Advent is all about. It's two words: slowing down. It's slowing down in preparation for the feast. And interestingly, Advent in its original meaning was actually about fasting. It was about fasting and preparation. It was actually about fasting and preparation for baptism. That's where it started. Right. And it wasn't linked to Christmas at all. It got linked to Christmas in the Middle Ages. But anyway, it was about drawing aside, fasting, slowing down in preparation for the feast, and that kind of rhythm of feasting and fasting that obviously we have in the church age that we're in now. So I think that's really interested in your thoughts. There you go. Someone said where Black Friday comes from. That's great. Thank you for that. This thing about slowing down. That's kind of really what it's all about. Yeah. So, thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the build up to the intensity of Christmas now is just, it's earlier and earlier, isn't it? You always have people sort of saying, oh, they're already advertising Christmas now,
absolutely.
And Christmas carols are playing, and it's just almost this, and it's geared towards consumerism, isn't it? It's just geared towards buy, need, you need this, you need that, and there is that real sense, in my mind, it's that real sense of distraction, isn't it? It's just distraction. It's being drawn to the things of the flesh the whole time, which just seems to be becoming more and more intense today.
And you're right, Chris. this. I mean, the spirit of the age, or the culture of our day, or whatever you want to call, which is not a kingdom culture, is it wants to distract us and draw us away from these things all the time, and that's a strategy. Interesting comment here from Lucy Falloon. We decided to celebrate Advent this year by doing I don't know whether she means a Jesus tree or a Jesse tree. I'm not sure. I don't know whether you see that there.
I see that, yeah.
But anyway, each day reading a story from the ancestors of Jesus, ending with his birth. Great. I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. That's a great thing to be doing with your family, Lucy. I think, just share something, that I do kind of personally, and I haven't always done this because, but I've really begun to do this more, and it's to do with this. Angela's saying maybe something positive to take from our situation with COVID. Christmas could be less crazy this year.
Yeah.
But it could be a mad online rush as well. Yeah. I mean, I feel for the guys who are doing the deliveries. I mean, they were like, they dropped something off at 5 o'clock today to our house. I just think, those guys don't get a let up anyway. But so it's this thing about slowing down, about being still. And we've had this, quite a lot recently about being still and knowing that I am God. Advent for me, slowing down, Advent for me is about being still in the noisiest, potentially busiest, most frenetic time of the year. It is an opportunity. I think the Lord wants us to learn how to be still, particularly at this time. So let's, should we look at Psalm 46, Chris? So, I mean, we know this so well, Psalm 46, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." And I think what we do is, I think we quite often we just stop at the "be still and know that I am God." I think that we just think, just kind of relax, get a cup of coffee and just sit down for a minute, just have a break, And there is an element of that, but actually there's a richer meaning here by looking at "Be still and know that I am God, I will be exalted among the nations, I will be exalted in the earth." There is a gentleness about this, but is also, a call for us to snap out of it. Snap out of this being driven to the world, dancing to the beat of the world's drum. Be still and know that I am God and I'm in control, and it's not, nothing, no one else is in control here apart from me. And I will be exalted in the nations, and I will be exalted in all the earth. And so I think it's kind of, for me, it's a wake up. Stop being dragged into, stop being lulled to sleep by the world and just being like the world. Wake up, is actually what this is really saying. Stop. I will fight the battles for you. Stop stressing about all the things. Just wake up. And see who I am. That's what this means. So it's actually not sit back and do nothing. It's engage with who I am. This be still thing.
And I think, I go back to my hope thing again, because that was the whole meaning of that word hope was that waiting with an expectancy. So it was this act of kind of expectancy. And I was trying to think of what would be, what's something to me that's a vivid memory that would kind of help with this point. And I remember when we were growing up, we had our house had a big walled garden, which was quite typical in Zim. Big, massive walled garden, big sort of closed off gates. And my folks had these big old dogs. One was a Rhodesian Ridgeback, absolutely gorgeous. And there was like a 6-foot wall, and he would jump, and Benny would hold on the top of the fence and just like bark at. I mean, he was the most intimidating, but yet the most placid dog. But I remember this. What was amazing with him is our house is kind of. It was second house in on the road, and it was kind of on a bend of a road, and it went from tarmac to dirt road. Shows how far out we were. And but you could hear the cars kind of coming off the tar road and then hitting the dirt road and coming around. But the dogs would respond, and that was they recognised like my dad's car, and so they would the minute they heard my dad's car coming around the corner, they would run to the gate, sort of this expectation of the car arriving or us all arriving, and it was and that's what this hope is. It's this active expectation, Christ is coming, he's coming. And, you feel like with the early church, it was that whole sense of he could be with us right now.
Absolutely.
And I feel like so many of these distractions that culture's trying to bring in are distracting away from the fact that we need to be waiting. We need to be saying it could be tonight. Don't be caught up in the Black Friday deals and absorbed with the things that are distracting us. And it made me think of the parable of the 10 virgins. And I'm sure you guys will know the story, but it's in Matthew chapter 25, and it ends with this verse. It says, "Watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour."
That's right.
And I feel like that's there's something about culture today that we need to be watchful. We need to be saying, let's be watching, let's be on the wall, waiting in expectation for Christ to come. And I feel just this whole thing of looking at this word hope, just the thing that's come across again and again and again is this expectancy for Christ, this waiting for the coming of Jesus. And it's urgent.
Yeah, absolutely.
The early church, right. It was an urgency.
Yeah. No, you're right, Chris. And I think that what can happen is that the Christmas story can be so familiar, and the rhythm of Christmas can be so kind of, such a pattern that we, the urgency isn't there. We're kind of a little bit kind of lulled to sleep, by this. But whereas, I think there is there's a wonder and a depth and a richness in the story of Christmas that is so important for us. But that's great, Chris. I mean, something I just want, something that we've got people starting to say some of the things that they're doing or planning to do as families, but I also want to think particularly personally as well, what we do in our own devotional time to reflect. And so something that I do, I've got the candle here this evening because I'm not getting all kind of I'm not getting all, I don't know, high church or Catholic or whatever on you with candles. But candles are amazing. I do like candles. And to be honest, we all like a good candle, don't we, really? Especially a smelly one. But like a Christmas spice one. That kind of thing.
Well clarified.
Yeah, good. But I love it at these times when it's wake up, it's dark. Now I know if you've got little kids in the house, maybe they're up before you, that's whatever. But I'm at a stage where the kids tell you I get up before the kids these days, and those of you at my stage in life know what I mean. But there you are, Sarah. Love a good candle, absolutely. But I light a candle, and then what I would do, I'll just look at the light, and I'll just begin to contemplate and reflect, and not be in a hurry to pray my list of prayers, or not necessarily being in a hurry to read my Bible portion of the day, or my Advent portion, or whatever it is. I will focus on the light in the darkness. And I'll have, sometimes I'll just open the curtains or the shutters and I'll have the light against the dark window, and I just say, and I'll see how it reflects off the window, how it casts light out into the outside, into the room behind. And I just begin to slow down and just be still and to reflect on He's the light of the world and He's come. He's come, we're celebrating He's coming, and He's coming again. And His light is not just a candle, obviously, but His light is going to be so great that we're not going to need the sun anymore. And I just think, beautiful. Wow. And there's something about a candle in the darkness that's very calming as well. Helps. I'm going to do it now. So
do it,
I'm going to do it. You're excited about this, right? A little bit of demo here.
Cool fire.
So you talk, Chris.
I'll talk. Oh, yeah. You're going
to kill the lights for me.
Yes, kill the lights, Dave. The candlelight glow. I think just going back. I feel so inspired by this hope thing. And what's really interesting is how there was this shift in the early church from, and obviously they were still hoping, they still had this hope of the return of Christ, but obviously Jesus came, and then at the cross, at resurrection, there was this shift in the hope. Which
Sorry, Chris, I can't take you seriously. It's gone from super bright to thanks, Dave.
There we go.
It doesn't work. You either drown out the candle or we can't see anything.
There is a candle there.
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
Should have got a bigger candle, Ben.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big one. I was saying to Chris, this candle's called altar candle, and he got a bit nervous.
Yeah,
oh no, you can have an altar
ask
next.
Ben with, I needed to bring my robe today.
Yeah, that's right.
Dog collar and robe.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, Chris. Go on about hope.
No, okay,
yeah.
so I'll just quickly go a little bit in this because. It was interesting in the early church. There was still this hope, but at Christ's resurrection, it opened a new door, and the word here for hope was a Greek word called alpus, and it basically was a joyful and confident expectation of eternal salvation.
Yeah,
and so suddenly there was this whole shift, and I mean. Again, you read these passages of scripture, and again, there'll be such familiar passages. 1 Peter, and I'll just read this little passage here. 1 Peter 1 verses 3, it says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to his great mercy, he has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead." And then it goes on and it says, this living hope, it says, "to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time."
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, it's beautiful. So this hope, hope that we have in Jesus, this living hope, it's just such a beautiful picture of this waiting, this, and it's that whole thing of being still. It's being still and knowing that that He is God, and it's just, it's beautiful. And I think that's why there's so many distractions in our lives, because it's this constantly pulling away from just saying, hey. Just be still and know who I am.
Yeah,
this is who I am.
That's right.
And I think that's why there'll be more and more sales, aren't there? It's just going to be more. We're going to be more and more bombarded by these amazing things we can't live without, because it's just this distraction of the enemy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting lots of trim your wick comments coming in. So all right, it's a new candle. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but it's settling down now. So but anyway, I mean, I don't know whether any of you guys do the candle thing, but I find it helpful because I think on this distraction thing, Chris, as you're saying, as soon as I get up, really, there can be. You're just bombarded with distractions, things to do, lists. But there's something I like about the darkness and the light in the darkness. And actually, all you're really focusing on is the candle, and and the candle doesn't shed light very fast. So especially earlier on, as you can see. But
that's a good thing.
But it's great because I focus on the light. She says the light, and not all the things around that will so easily just clamour for my attention. So I love that. And then then I might read a bit of scripture, and these are some of the things that I would probably read. I'd begin to read some of the things that actually I was, used some of the scriptures I was referring to this morning when I was speaking. Just, the people dwelling in darkness have seen a great light. For those dwelling in the region, the shadow of death, on them light has dawned. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. And I think you were talking earlier on, Chris, about, Christmas being a great time for witness. It is probably, it is the best time. Of the year that we have. It's the best opportunity for us to witness to our faith, witness of our faith. And I think that has to come from a place where we are different, where we're, we're still loving, celebrating Christmas with the family and, and whatever, and love giving presents and receiving and all those kind of things. But there's something, I think, especially this year of all years with COVID, and all the anxiety and all the, not being able to see everyone you want to see and do the normal things, is being able to say, look, I know a light. I found a light that whether it's lockdown or no lockdown, whether there's, whatever, no matter how dark it gets, I found a light that shines into that and just gives my life meaning and purpose. and I know what to do. I know which way to go.
Yeah.
There is no better opportunity when the nights are dark and the world is dark and it's not a happy place. There's no better opportunity for us to witness to the light.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's got to come from us being in a place where we're full of the light ourselves and focused on the light.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, I just looked reading at some of the comments coming in here. Remember, Bruce has just encouraging people, to do that, about lighting this candle. Yeah, guys, I just, hear me. I'm not advocating, just to be clear, I'm not advocating some kind of religious thing here that's empty. This is just a tool to help me, and I think it could help you focus on Jesus, the light of the world. That's all. So
I see Andrew's got a question here.
I missed that. Yeah, go for it.
Could you talk about meditation a bit?
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
it was aimed at you, Ben.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all heard that term meditation, haven't we? And the most helpful thing I think I've heard about meditation is the Eastern meditation, which obviously we can jump to that conclusion, is about emptying your mind.
Nothingness, yeah.
Christian meditation is about filling your mind with Christ, with God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So it's a filling of your mind. So your mind is so full of the wonder of who He is that actually everything, it overwhelms everything else. So it's not and I think, being still, slowing down, and actually this expectant, anticipatory hope that you're so excited about this evening, Chris, which is great. That takes meditation. That does take just stop. Let's just pause here. Let's just meditate, consider, contemplate, reflect, whatever words you want to use. They're all similar in my similar types of words on Jesus, on who He is. And if we're full of that, when we go out into the world or even the online world, as we interact with people, and that's difficult this year, whatever it may be, we are full of Christ in our minds, not full of, oh no, have I got that? And have I got this? I need to get that. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. Which just is like that's what everyone else is in, And can I do this? And can I do that? I'm allowed to do this. I'm allowed to do that. No, we're just full of, it's okay.
Yeah.
The King of Kings, He's here, He's coming.
Yeah.
That's what, So, that's what I would say for meditation.
I was just thinking about like a sponge, so almost thinking about the whole thing of how a lot of meditation is about just kind of emptying your mind and stuff. And you think about a sponge, there's something about if you're using a sponge, if it's already full, it's a bit of a nuisance to use, but once it's been emptied out and then filled with whatever you're wanting to use it for, and I think that's the whole thing that whole thing of meditation is actually coming in and saying, God, fill me up. And it is that whole sense of kind of we wrung out, we crucify the flesh, we empty all of the distractions and everything, and then we say, God, okay, fill me up so that I can become you and I can become you. So, and I think that's sometimes and I know even sometimes the process, even in our times with the Lord, is that sometimes just the start of it can just be kind of dealing with the things that are in your head and almost just making space to clear all the stuff that bombards you the whole time, and then actually just saying, hey, God, fill me up again. I feel like that's often the process for me sometimes in spending time with God, is actually just getting through all of the stuff I've picked up in the day or the week, and just saying, okay, God, fill me with your goodness and your word, so that I can be fruitful again.
That's right. And just taking I love John 8:12. This time of year, is it whoever follows me? I can't remember. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Is that John 8:12? I
am the light of the world.
I'm the light of the world. Yeah, okay, I'm the light of the world. So, in terms of meditation, I would meditate on that verse. Jesus said, I'm the light of the world, and I'd meditate on that, and I'd go over that. I'm the light of the world. You know, I'm not just the light of Christians. I'm the light of the whole world. And straight away that makes me think, he's the light of the whole world.
Yeah.
He's the light of America right now. He's the light of China. He's the light of North Korea. He's the light of every tribe and tongue and nation, you know, of the rich, of the poor, you know, so that helps me. Then whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, you know, and I would just go over those words. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness. You know, you won't walk in darkness. Yeah. You might feel like that, but you're not walking in darkness. You know, you will have the light of life. You will have life in you, light in you, to show you where to go, to know what to do. Now, you know, you just need to remember. And that's, for me, that's what meditation would be, meditating on the word, particularly using the candle. It helps me kind of just bring that alive for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Ben.
So have we got anything else coming in here, Chris, that we need to respond to? I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, just to kind of say to you guys out there, I mean, I don't know whether this strikes a chord in any way, whether you think this is, you know, just kind of inaccessible or, you know, not so relevant. But I just, you know, I do just, it's a bit like, you know, the conversation, you know, it was being had around the whole, you know, the subject of, you know, of rest. And, you know, in a day of rest, that kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. It's just this, how, you know, we need to be intentional and deliberate in this slowing down, being still thing, you know, and I'm always wary of kind of prescribing it has to be like this at this time in this way. I'm always wary because the rhythms of their life is, you know, everyone is different. But I do think it's something that we need to be, we need to be looking for, you know, because we will be carried along by the pressure and the strains and the stresses of the world to distract us from what really is valuable and just to keep us busy, basically. I mean, you know, the enemy wants to keep us busy, not focusing on Christ and being a light to the world, you know, and he wants to keep us busy, wrapped up in the pressures of life. Not to say they're not real, just to be clear, but that's what the enemy wants. That's, you know, that's one of his strategies. Just keep those Christians busy. Yeah, you know, just keep them busy, just like the rest of the world, and they'll just, you know, they'll just not, you know, they'll completely miss it, you know, and not that we're going to miss it by being busy. Don't get me wrong, but I just think we need to find ways of just pressing the pause button in our lives, and I think Advent's such a great time. Yeah.
See, Lucy's got a question here. Do you think it grieves God that there are so many pagan influences in our Christmas celebrations?
Yeah. I mean, I personally, look, I mean, the way I look at that is that I think if you look at the roots of things like Christmas trees and Christmas wreaths and all those kind of things, I mean, you know, you can go there and you can go on a kind of bit of a witch hunt for these things. I think that we don't, you know, I think we have the Spirit of God inside of us.
Absolutely.
And I think the Holy Spirit who is in us will make us aware of things that are offensive and that grieve the Godhead. I think that's what he does. Yeah, I think that we know when we come across something that we think is offensive to God, then I think we know it. Yeah. Okay, some of us might miss it, but I think collectively as a people, we know it. Yeah. So I don't find a Christmas tree offensive because for me, the Christmas tree is not about Christ. Now, a candle's not about Christ, but the light helps symbolize and remind me and meditate and focus on him as the light of the world. So I don't personally think so because we're not worshipping the Christmas tree or the angel at the top or the star at the top or even the chocolates on the Christmas tree. And we're not worshipping the presents. And we're not worshipping, what else, Chris? Help me. What else?
The elves, the reindeers.
The figgy pudding. Yeah, the elves and the reindeers. Whatever, yeah. We're not worshipping, you know, the turkey or whatever food. You know, we're not worshipping any of those things. We're worshipping Jesus. Yeah. And this is a byproduct of the feast that we have, and that we can be family, and we can. So I do think that there's something about lights, which, as I was saying this morning, I do think lights are helpful in us, again, focusing on that he has come as a light into the darkness to be the light of the world. But, I wouldn't try personally and make the Christmas tree a kind of religious thing.
No.
It's just fun to have a Christmas tree in your house. It's great. I love it. I think if we're worshipping the Christmas tree, I think the heart of God would be grieved.
Yeah, and maybe it's one of those things you have to check your own heart and things. Are you introducing things into your family culture that are things that are like, okay, this is not actually a helpful thing to be introducing in. There's an overemphasis on there's an overemphasis on presents. But you know what I mean. It's like there can be certain practices that we bring in that actually become unhealthy to our family tradition.
Yeah.
And that's probably the thing to be questioning yourself is actually, are there things we're doing that we're putting more emphasis than they should be on it?
Well, she's just clarified. She was thinking about Santa.
Oh yeah.
So I think I would say for me that we would always, and I think some of you are alluding to this in chat, and you were saying with your kids, Chris, we would always we would not put focus on Santa. We didn't do that growing up. We would say, no, this is about the King of Kings. That's what we're celebrating. Santa's just a distraction. I wouldn't kind of not do. When our kids grew up, we didn't do the Father Christmas thing. We didn't do. There was the whole St. Nicholas and that kind of thing. And I don't want to really go there tonight, but we go there a different time. But I think it's just a question of emphasis. I would not say. We just said no. Mum and Dad give you presents. Is that robbing your children of a potentially really exciting thing? Do you actually have to lie to them to excite them? Do you tell them a fib to excite them? Tell them the truth. Yeah. Tell them the truth.
Exactly.
Say, Mum and Dad give you presents. You can make great surprises without having to, we did stockings and all that kind of stuff. We'll still do stockings. But I just think, Santa's out there, but just say, hey, he's nothing compared to Jesus.
Yeah,
look what Jesus gives you. Look at the gifts he gives, and so, I'm sure that could. The chat might get hot now working on this, but I just think Santa can be one of those other distractions you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, exactly. Zoe, that's a great point. Just as long as we're clear, Jesus, we can have fun. Yeah. Christmas traditions are fine. We never told our children Santa is real or not. We just don't focus on it. Absolutely. Yeah. Robin, tricking you had non-believing relatives.
It is.
Totally. I think that's where you just have to be. We had this when our kids were little with non-believing relatives, and we just said, we're not against Santa or Father Christmas. We just say, actually, we want to talk to our kids about what Christmas is really about and what we believe is real. And it's not that we're against, and that's fine. So again, I think it's just this whole thing of bringing it always back to the reality of Christ at Christmas time, and not kind of saying, no, that's wrong, we don't do that. It's just saying, no, that's fine, but this is what it is, really. And so
this is a real gift,
So that's, guys, we're probably done. It's 8:45. So thanks, Chris. Thanks so much. It's been great.
Thanks, man.
So excited. I'm excited. Aren't we all excited about Chris's excitement about hope? It's great. Yeah, no, it's great. And folks, it's just, it's going to be a different Christmas. We know that, but it's. I'm still dead excited about Christmas. I really am. I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I love Christmas. It's just the best time of year. I love it. I love the candle thing, the lights thing. Can't wait. Tuesday, 1st of December, we get our little red berry lights out. We put them in the hallway. It's traditional to do that first. And I love those traditions. That family identity, they're really, really important. So, but just that's the thing. Pause, slow down, take some time. It's important. From that place, you'll be an even better witness.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the light.
Absolutely.
This Christmas time.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Amen. Have a great week, guys. See you all soon.
God bless.